All right, guys, welcome. we're gonna we're gonna start this off real quick. We're going to be playing as Japan today. If you guys have not seen the news, if you guys have not seen the news, uh, former Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe, was shot and killed yesterday. I'm not. This isn't a drill or a joke or anything like that. He was doing a campaign rally, and there's a lot of more videos or a lot more information. I really wanted to wait a little bit more before really streaming about it, talking about it. You're probably going to see a lot more of me talking in this live stream than actually playing, but I wanted to, have something for you guys to look at. We can kind of like play around with Japan during this time. But essentially, Shinzo Abe was at a campaign rally in Nara. This is a suburb of Osaka, which is outside of Kyoto. And in Nara, the city of Nara, um, at least in the game, it's like 367,000 people. Then it gives you like weather and everything like that. Anyway, he was campaigning for someone outside of Nara, and he had actually been doing this for a while, because there is a upper house election, I believe today in Japan, and while he was giving a speech during this campaign rally, he was giving a speech. Some guy walks up with a homemade shotgun, and he walked up with a homemade shotgun, and he opened fire on him once, and you can kind of see Shinzo kind of you can kind of see Abe kind of turn. He kind of like stands there for a second. He's like, "What?" He kind of turns over. He turns his body, and you can hear a second shot go off, and then he collapses onto the ground. So I was last night. I was sitting there watching or I was with my dad. So my dad is just recently out of the hospital. We were at the doctor last night, and I'm sitting there, and I was, didn't really know what was going on. And I opened my phone, and I get a notification from the New York Times that says that Shinzo Abe had been shot. So it's it's shocking, to say the least. Japan is notorious for, I mean, if you're trying to get a gun in Japan, it is extremely difficult for you to do that, no matter if you're ex-military, anything like that. This guy was ex-military. He was in the Japanese Navy, the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force, for several years, back in the mid 2000s, and the type of weapon that he used, it was homemade. It was homemade to a point to where, like, it was basically like a couple of tubes held together by duct tape, and it's basically like he set a cannon off. And I mean, even just hearing it, you could tell that it was a shotgun, but it's like it did not sound like any type of gun ever. So the only ones with the gun are the police, military, and yakuza. Yeah, and it's extremely difficult. Even like in the rural areas, yeah, it's a little bit easier because you're saying, okay, I need to go for hunting, blah 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 blah. Okay, yeah, cool. You're in a rural area, fine. You're in Nara, outside of Osaka. No, there's no way you're getting your hands on a gun, no matter what reason you give them. You can't say self defense because there was one gun related fatality yesterday. There was one no. There was one gun fatality last year, all throughout 2021 in Japan. There was one. And in this year 2022, Shinzo Abe is the only person that has died from gun violence in Japan. Now, could you associate it with the gun because it was homemade? That's where a debate starts. How does this relate to the United States? Well, I mean, it could say like, well, I mean, they have strict gun laws, and I mean, they only have one person dying every year. United States has thousands of people dying every year from guns. So it kind of also ignites a debate here, basically saying like, should we even have guns, anything like that? But that's a debate for another time. It's like a Nerf gun with real bullets. It's so amateur and stunning that it actually worked. Yeah, I know. Make sure you don't get caught lacking what. But it's it's shocking to say the least. Shinzo Abe was the very first Japanese prime minister that really got me into Japanese politics. I've been interested in Japanese politics for a very long time. Um, and Shinzo Abe was really I've paid attention to him for over 10 years because he's been in office that long. And I think I remember whenever he stepped down and then whenever he kind of came back in like 2016, I think, or 2014. Discord server is active again and I'm one of the active people. Hell yeah. So, what are you guys' thoughts on Shinzo Abe? What were you guys' thoughts on him? Did you guys even know who he was beforehand? Like, this is really a shock to me because it's like, for one, it's Japan. Japan, you don't really hear about this happening in Japan. In the United States, yeah, it's a little bit more, it's way more common to a point where it's kind of like it muffles out. But whenever this happens in Japan, I mean, it is a cataclysmic event in Japan right now. It is the and I mean this is what Chinese state media is basically saying on it. And I don't know if Japan is really kind of saying this, but I'm hearing that basically this is the biggest political event in Japan probably since they drafted their constitution back in 1947, or at least since the end of World War II. Japanese politics, I mean, if you look into Japanese politics, you'd probably, if you're interested in politics, looking into Japanese politics, I mean, it's very interesting because, I mean, yeah, their elections aren't really that interesting because I mean the Liberal Democratic Party is usually the one that's always winning. But as for just how cataclysmic this is in Japanese politics, this is just like it's shocking. If you've been paying attention to Japan for a very long time, like I have, again, this is something that you would never expect in Japan. Like this is huge, hugely cataclysmic in terms of too soon, man. I'm not. How is it too soon? I'm playing as Japan and trying to be relevant. What do you want me to talk about? Like, it'd be better than me playing as the United States because I'm gonna be talking about Japan this entire time. I'm gonna be talking about Shinzo Abe. I probably should change the title instead of saying like Japan gameplay. Maybe a little too clickbaity for the time right now. But again, this is more of just kind of like I wanted to find a way to have this kind of conversation about Shinzo Abe without yeah, maybe making it look like I'm like, oh look, hey, I'm playing as Japan right after Shinzo Abe just got assassinated. So I'm gonna have to think about changing the title. What if North Korea paid that dude to do it? Yeah, I'm hearing like I haven't heard North Korea, but I've heard like China. And China, that's the thing. The last major political assassination in Japan was Inijiro Asanuma was stabbed with a sword back in 1960. Yeah, I would say this is the biggest political event since those big protests back in it was like the 50s or 60s or something like that. It was about like it was about the US Japan security treaty. I can't remember what the protests were called, but it ended up like being it ended up having the Japanese prime minister at the time uh resign because of how big these protests were. You're playing as Japan in respect to them. Yeah, basically. It's like, again, I'm not going to play as the United States and sit here talking about Shinzo Abe this entire time. It's just relevant. So that's the whole reason I'm playing as Japan right now. We're probably only going to be playing like a month or something like that. Probably won't really be doing much. It's just really just more of just something to talk about right now. I wanted to have at least have a little bit of a stream about this, and just talk about Shinzo Abe. Um, as for a motive, we're not really hearing anything about motives right now. um, motives. I mean, I'm like, there's video. There's a lot of video. You can literally see the guy just walk up to him and then just shoot twice. Um, I'm looking. Apparently, Musk is saying that Twitter is in breach of the agreement over their thing. That was cold. I don't know. I just am in shock that this thing even happened. I know. So am I. That's really like every time I see a video of it, I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, I am in total utter shock that this happened. Like, it is. You don't if you have not been studying Japanese politics, you are you don't understand how big this is. Because yeah, political assassinations happen all the time all over the world. But in a country as well developed as Japan, as stable as Japan, and then all of a sudden some guy just goes up to the former prime minister and just guns him down in public. And it sounds like that this guy was pretty mentally ill. I mean, he's sitting here talking about he's sitting here talking about saying like someone in power just discovered reporting his death, saying it's about time. Let me look. Where is this guy? It's kind of funny watching the Discord and everyone's just like, I'm playing as Japan so I can keep Shingo Watanabe. Yeah, I'm gonna do a stream as Shinzo Abe in main chats. I'm actually glad. Yeah, I see it now. Is the most recent message. Um, So let's get a couple of things started as Japan right now. We're in negative inflation right now. Wow. I've actually found it so much easier now to get your exchange rate up as Japan. And if you guys have not played, if you guys play Empower and Revolution, if you guys play this, do play as Japan. Japan is actually one of the most interesting interesting countries to play as, mainly because you get to deal with such high debt. And then whenever you get that debt down, I like to start reallocating that money into things like I like to start reallocating that money into things like the military, especially the military. I like to reallocate it into energy projects. It's and then trying by the next election or something like that, you can gain a majority in parliament. Don't even have to build a political coalition. So it's very interesting, very stable. You won't really have to deal with corruption or political instability. It's a lot more stable and easier to play as than the United States. So playing as Japan in this game is actually very interesting. Devalue the currency, the boost manufacturing, rip Abe, yep. Um, yeah, this isn't really gonna be more. This is just kind of like a talking stream again. Uh, we're we're just gonna really just discuss Shinzo Abe, kind of play as Japan at the same time. North Korea and Japan are having a war in my game in 2032. I know Japan always ends up going to war with like North Korea. It's kind of funny. I got only got to study Japan in my 20th century world politics class for about a month. I was really impressed and interested by their politics, culture, and government setup. I know, and that's the reason that Japanese politics interests me the most. Is that their government structure, their military, their and it was funny because I was at the doctor with my dad, and so me and my dad have always been interested in politics. Me more so than him. And he's like 60 right now. And I was talking to him about Japan, and so he's sitting there, and I had to kind of like explain some of the ways that their parliament works by saying like because that's the thing about Shinzo Abe. Shinzo Abe was a sitting member of the House of Representatives of Japan. So Japan has something called the Diet. The Diet is what their parliament is called. It's not called parliament, it's called the Diet, the National Diet, which is comprised of the House of Representatives, and then there's an upper house that I can't remember the name of, but so the lower house is the House of Representatives, and then the upper house, I can't remember the name of their upper house right now. If someone can tell me what their upper house is called, that'll be perfect. So like this isn't just the shooting of a former prime minister of Japan. This is also the shooting of an actual sitting house representative of Japan. And so I'm sitting there kind of explaining it to my dad, and I'm like, well, he was a former prime minister, but he's still in Congress. Like he's still a parliamentarian. And then I'm sitting there, and it was funny because I actually had to tell him about like how their military worked, about how Japan after World War II had to renounce war, and that upper house is the House of Chancellors. Okay, thank you guys. Uh, Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, and Nathan Maxwell. Thank you both. Um, but that's what interests me a lot about Japan is that like, and I had to explain this to my dad, where I was just like, the military is not a military. It's not a military. It's not the same thing that the United States can do. It's that they have renounced war. They have an article in their constitution that basically says we cannot go to war. Uh, we cannot even go on offensive operations in support operations that we're in, because they were actually in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and that they actually had to be protected by Australian troops because their constitution does not allow them to go on offensive operations. So it's interesting. And he was just like, that is so weird. And I'm just like, I know, but it's interesting. Crab Rangoon, I'm gonna send you an email back. I did read your email. So I'm sorry I haven't replied to your email. I'm gonna send you an email back. I'm gonna try to figure out a way that me and you can stay in contact with each other because I would like your input on future videos. If you're down for it. So, I think if you can like send me your phone number over email via email, that would be perfect. Um, or something. If you don't feel comfortable with that, go ahead and do something else. If you have another way that we can contact each other, that'd be perfect. Um, but yeah, like this is probably the most pivotal event in Japanese history in a very long time. Decades. I'm talking decades. I'm gonna do a little bit of a fiddling around with the economy. Imagine how much can I get this up to? $600 a month so you can access the internet. Should I make a new Discord account? If you want to do that, go ahead. Just make sure you store those those codes somewhere where you can access them. Put it on a flash drive. Remember where the flash drive is. You know. So, um, as for the stream, we're only gonna be going up for like an hour. I gotta cook dinner and everything like that, so we're not gonna be streaming for too long. Housing renovations, one of the solutions for global warming. And our measures to fight global warming, let's not forget about renovating thermal sieves in some of our debilitated social housing. Moreover, this will be held as an action of solidarity with the poorest classes. All right. I wonder what part of the social hierarchy he was a part of. The gunman. Maybe he was part of the destitute class. Well, that's the thing is that he sounded pretty mentally ill, in which basically he said that like Shinzo Abe was a part of this religious organization, and like there was a religious organization that this guy really hated, and then he went and eliminated him because he had ties to this religious organization that he didn't like, and he wouldn't name the religious organization that he was talking about. So it's it's kind of weird because he's talking like an idiot. And EOC, what is the EOC? Economic Organization of Economic Cooperation. EOC, oh, the EOCD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Okay. We're gonna, should we leave the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership? I really feel like we should leave. Hmm. We're going to question the actions of the RCEP. Negative tariffs on America might help. Yeah, let's do some negative tariffs on America. Automobile construction. Soon enough, we are going to get, we're going to lower tariffs on the United States. At least until we can get, we're going to lower tariffs until we can get a true free trade agreement. There's actually the last time I had it was kind of funny. The last time I ever had a Japan gameplay in Power and Revolution, what I basically did is that I went through and I made Oceania basically under my thumb. So I would send agents into every single one of these countries. I do it in Malaysia, Philippines, Taiwan, South Korea, Indonesia, Papua New Guinea, New Zealand, Australia, and I got all of these conservatives into power. And I basically was just had this string of alliances all across Oceania, and I started to expand out into the true Oceania, and it was actually really fun because because I was just it was really fun, kind of digging my hands into the pockets of literally every major country in Southeast Asia. Mental health is one of those taboo topics in Japan. Is going to be interesting how they deal with this. Yeah, and that's the other thing about Japan is that let me actually go over here, go over here. So let's see. So crime 0.03%, number of deaths per year, 100,000 residents, only about 370, about 375 it looks like. So crime is especially low in Japan. And if I go suicide, they have more people killing themselves than they do have killing other people. And I'm pretty sure, if I can look it up, the murder rate in Japan is lower is lower than their suicide rate. It's a taboo topic, but they there is a lot of mental illness, especially in these Asian countries. So let me actually look. Japan crime rates. The crime rates is per 100,000 0.26%. And then if I can look up Japan suicide rates per 100,000. Tweeted request permissions. So in 2000, 24.1 per 100,000. Then that was, 20 years before COVID. Suicides hit national high. What is this? This was 2000. Okay. I'm still trying to find it. Oh, here's a PDF. So what is it at? Rate per 100,000. Pre-pandemic, post-pandemic. I guess you were in pause. Um well, I guess I'll probably find that later. Um because that's at least one time I remember it being like that, where they're like their murder rate was lower than their actual suicide rate. Were you able to find a refugee message that always comes after the Ukraine invasion? How that actually works? Basically, all you do is click on a refugee camp, and then it gives you an option to take refugees. So, like, if I go over to Syria, I go over to Syria, go over to here, accepting refugees. Select the number of refugees you accept. I can accept all of them in the area, where I can accept a lower amount of refugees. All you have to do is click the refugee base. From PNR 2021, has the war strategy of the game changed? Because I haven't played the game in ages. Um, yeah, basically, the war situation. Basically, I can go over here. You have launch military attack. You can provide military aid for a country uh, for a country at war. So like if I want to help like Burkina Faso fight the terrorists in their country, I can send troops over there. Same thing with Somalia, Syria, Yemen, Pakistan. And then whenever Ukraine and Russia go to war, I can do the same thing. I can actually go in and I can like send troops over there, so I don't have to sit there and fiddle around try to open up a base in uh I don't have to fiddle around trying to open up a base in Syria because they have really bad relations with me. Basically, all I have to do go over here, military operations, go over to provide military aid, and then I can select Syria. I can fight defensively, offensively, or I can do under the exclusive control of myself. Or I can go over here. I can give weapons to a country so I can help them fight their war instead of getting directly involved. This gives you a new option to fight geopolitically. So just like whenever Ukraine goes to war or something like that, you can supply them with weapons. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Depends on the type of weapons you're giving them. Or you have choice of military strategy during a conflict. So this is whenever you are in a conflict against someone. So if I go to war with North Korea or China, then I can select from this. So I can say the Japanese military will fight defensively, or they can fight offensively, or it's under the exclusive control of myself. So actually, what I've noticed, and this was whenever I did a playtest with the United States against Cuba, I actually lost maybe 2,000 people in a war against Cuba. So they at least, it's not like they're throwing just body bags at them. They actually kind of utilize, the military, the Air Force, the Navy, and they are actually, hitting targets where they need to be hit. Now, the danger in that is that you have the chance of them striking a target that they don't need to hit, or they're too close to maybe a civilian center, refugee camp, or even a city. Whenever that happens, you end up hitting those cities, and then you lose a ton of popularity, or even get thrown out of office for bombing cities. So that's one thing I really want them to change. I really want them to kind of go in and say, like, okay, um, you know, you can bomb cities or like hit a precision strike against them. But then, yeah, there's going to be collateral damage, but they really need to nerf the amount of popularity that you lose because of the city strikes. Because let's be honest, it's happening all the time, especially in places like Russia and everything. Yeah, you can lose maybe 5% popularity, but losing literally like 70% popularity just because you bombed one city accidentally. Come on. That's one reason why I never go to war because yeah, oh yeah, how how I'm sounding right now. Oh, I can't bomb cities, so I don't like to go to war. So no, again, it's very unrealistic the way they kind of like frame it because yeah, they're trying to dissuade you from bombing cities in the game because they don't want to be, oh, we're the game that, you can bomb the hell out of cities and everything like that. But it's kind of like to be realistic, you're going to have to make that sacrifice. Diplomatic offensive, trash, world menace. Destroy the Ukrainian economy with development aid. I once knew Pyongyang as in the UK because I didn't. Because I didn't what? I want to get dragged into. Want to get dragged into a long war and the population gave a F. The scale of the war is larger you were attacked first. It should be less loss of popularity. You're not wrong, yeah. Does the stream have something to do with Mr. Abe? Yeah, literally like the past 30, 40 minutes I've been talking about Abe. It's just you're in a part where, I'm not really talking about him. I'm probably only going to be streaming for another like 20 more minutes. Again, this is more of just like where I play a little bit as Japan. We're not really doing anything right now. It's just more of just kind of like a condolence live stream, just kind of talk about it. Just for me to kind of talk because it's been bothering me just since it happened, and I really wanted to talk about it. Like, if you must drop and hit a bomb at a city as an aggressor in your democratic state of some kind, I could see it being a bit bigger popularity hit, but yeah, they could improve that. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're playing as Russia and you're bombing Ukrainian cities, like, I'm sorry, like, they're doing that all the time right now, and they're doing that literally every day, and Putin's still there after 6 months. So, like, it's just that's something I want to see changed. Presidential elections. Jesus is running in Colombia. In the game, how about provoking Russia a bit? Send some aircraft after those islands. Those islands. Are you talking about the Skalin? Sakhalin? I totally forgot how to say him. That's the other thing that really makes me mad about this is that Sakhalin is only this island right here. It's not comprised of these islands right here. Because if I want to have Japan, reoccupy these islands right here, these are the islands that are being fought over, being disputed between Russia and Japan. But then you have to occupy this entire area right here, Kamchatka, and I mean, yeah, it'd probably be a pretty easy take, but also it's kind of disappointing that unless it's these islands right here, these little islands right here that China's claiming. China claims like this, and then they're coming over here and saying like, "Oh yeah, like Southern Okinawa is our islands too." I need to factor in cultural differences and the power of authoritarian regimes. Yeah, exactly. I agree. Um, don't worry, I'm still here. I'm just I could hear something, and I was just like, wait, is that my music, or is that the like my it was my dad watching something on the TV, and I was just like, oh shit. Regular 8 series visas. I want more immigration options. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come on. I want more. Give me more. Um, we're going to do military tutorial for 2022. I'm thinking about it. I have a lot of videos on the back burner right now, and I really need to work on them. Um, so like there's like a it's like a political arena. I'm talking to developer a political arena. It's a new game that's coming out. I don't know if you guys haven't heard of it. You'll see it whenever I make this video. There's several development diaries for World Warfare and Economic, as well as Superpower 3, that I want to get out to you guys. So there's it's just been a lot going on, you know. Um, and so I'm gonna make those videos. How much do you expect to cover this? Well, this should will be just this more to come as stuff develops. Depending on what develops, you know, we're just here to talk about it, everything like that. If there's another major development, you'll definitely see me up here. Because this has been like Shinzo Abe is again someone that I hold near and dear to my heart because he was a very influential in my interest in Japanese politics. But until then, you know, again, I said I was only going to be streaming for an hour, so we're going to go ahead and call it here. So, guys, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more content like this, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss anything whenever I do make it. And whenever I do see any more news about Shinzo Abe, you'll probably see it on my community tab, or you'll see me streaming about it here. So leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.